Namaste everyone. In today's video, we're going to focus on Muni Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 2.27. Now in this Yoga Sutra, Muni Patanjali has helped us to understand how we can develop the Viveka-Khyati in 7 distinct stages and why this is so important and what's the purpose of it. So let's take a good look at the sutra and start breaking it up step by step to understand it even further. The sutra itself goes, Tasya saptadha pranta bhumif pragya. Alright, so this is the sutra itself. I'm going to pronounce that one more time so we can hear it properly. Tasya saptadha pranta bhumif pragya. Alright, now I'd also like to say here that sometimes it's pronounced, the last word is sometimes pronounced as pragya or prajya, depending on which part of the country you're from, which part of India you're from, and which pronunciation you tend to use more, but both are usually acceptable. So let's now go into the words and start breaking them up to understand it even further. So the first word that we have here is tasya, and tasya also refers to its. As we've noticed, it's a common pattern amongst a lot of the sutras. The first word refers to its or it, right? So that's the first one. Then coming to the second word, saptadha. Saptadha is referring to the sevenfold, right? The sevenfold practice. Sapta means 7 and saptadha referring to sevenfold. Pranta. Pranta specifically refers to a boundary or a clear demarcation. The next word is bhumihi. Now bhumihi is really interesting choice of word here because bhumi means land, earth, a particular region. So it's trying to tell us that it's almost like a boundary of particular regions. And the final word, of course, is pragya or prajya, which is referring to a very supra-conscious ability, an intuitive ability of understanding and grasping knowledge. It's also similar to what we had learned in Sutra 1.48, where we spoke about Ritambara Prajna, and we understood that a little bit better. All right. So now let's look at even more deeply what does the sutra mean and what is it trying to tell us. So the sutra itself is trying to say that essentially there are 7 different stages through which we acquire Viveka-Khyati or the discriminative knowledge of understanding. Now these 7 different stages have not actually been mentioned. So that's quite interesting as well, because usually Muni Patanjali is quick to give us the technical terms. We are given the knowledge that we need, but in this sutra specifically, we're just told there are 7 stages, and then we're not told exactly what those are. So it's really interesting how we are told that they're demarcated, that they are specific regions almost of that we're traveling through, but we're not given the name. So instead of doing guesswork, a lot of commentators believe we should just stick with what is being told. Perhaps the 7 stages are so intuitive and so deep that they're maybe not able to even be put into words, and therefore we just have to know that there are 7 stages and we haven't been given too much detail beyond that. But I think what is of most importance here is we're being told of pragya, or this really intuitive ability to understand concepts even deeper. And this is different from our intellectual understanding, right? If we can look at Purusha and Prakriti intellectually and think about it as, okay, great, these are 2 separate entities, I don't have an illusion between them, but it's much harder to do that experientially. And that's why from the next sutra onwards, we're given very practical and experiential steps, which we call the Ashtanga Yoga, which then helps us to come closer and closer to this philosophy in a practical way, through experience. So that's why this is a really important part, because it's helping us understand that, hey, for you to develop Viveka-Khyati, you need to experience it and not just intellectually understand it. And for that experience, there's a very practical and direct path that is given, and through the path, you will get clarity on this Viveka-Khyati and discriminative knowledge. And if you do it every day and regularly, you will be able to have that particular intellectual discriminative ability with you throughout, which will over time transform into an experiential ability as well. So this is what the sutra is trying to tell us. And most importantly, the connection between Ritambara Prajna, Sabija Samadhi from the previous sutras becomes very apparent here, right? We're being told that there is a very apparent correlation, connection between the pragya that we get in these 7 stages and the Ritambara Prajna that was being spoken about a little bit earlier. So quite a great sutra. I think it's a great way to introduce us to the concept of Viveka-Khyati, to remind us that it's experiential and not just intellectual, and to now open the floodgates and take us towards the Ashtanga Yoga theory, which is one of the most popular theories in all of yogic philosophy. So it's really exciting. From the next sutra onwards, we're going to look at the 8 different limbs of yoga, the practical steps, the ways in which we can experience higher intuitive capabilities and the prajna that will help us to see things as they are without the illusion of Purusha, Prakriti and their conjoining. So it's going to be an exciting next few sutras looking at the Ashtanga Yoga theory, and I hope you're ready to dive right into it. So if you've enjoyed this video, or if you have any thoughts and comments you'd like to share, please leave that in the comment section below. We'd love to take a look. And if you'd like to join us for our classes, do come every single week. We meet online. It's super interactive. It's so much fun. And we'd love to see you in one of our classes. I look forward now to seeing you in the next video or the next sutra and the class. And I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.